Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Makes Demos. Oh wow, chat. A lot of people in the chat already. What is up, guys? This is episode 34, and as you can see, I am joined by...
Hoffman.
I'm letting him introduce himself without any warning. This is important.
Yeah. This is just, you know, it's how the chemistry in logicoma works, isn't it?
Yeah, also check out my superpower, where I can just freeze him.
Yeah, really cross there. Look at that. That's the...
All right, now that we got the shit out of the way. This episode, so a lot of things happened at Revision last weekend. And on Thursday, we went over parts of our live set, which is now available on YouTube and Mixcloud if you want the uncut version, because there were some copyright issues with YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out, we can probably pull up some links for that. But another thing that happened is we totally won the tracked music compo. It was an awesome compo, a lot of really good entries. But at the end of the day, the scoreboard was a little skewed, not going to lie. We are extremely proud and a lot of credit. Oh, I need to, hold on. There we go. Look at this professional
Look at that.
television quality production we've got going here.
Yeah.
All right. Logicoma.
There is one problem with this.
Which is,
and it's going to sound a bit arrogant, but it doesn't look like the other ones. Right?
Oh, what do you mean? I don't see that.
That's this year. That's the year before, and all the other years previous.
Yeah.
And that's this year. You see, it doesn't look. It looks out of place now.
Yeah.
It's not. Look.
That's gonna be super frustrating.
I know this
for only
not
you.
Like, yeah. Well, the thing is, there's not an even number of them, so it has to kind of put out the evenness either side. It's a bit annoying.
Oh well, you can put it in the middle.
Yeah, that's the problem. Then I end up with like that many on that side, and yeah. Anyway,
Winner problems.
Yes.
Oh whoa, what happened there? Look, I can. Oh wow.
Oh yes.
Okay. All right. Focus. But yeah, so we totally won the tracked music compo, and basically, I want to give so much credit to Hoffman for all of this up there.
Thank you.
This guy deserves 99.9% of the credit and did some awesome work. So we thought we'd have him on and just talk about that.
Yes.
By the way, right before we dig in, I usually do this. Hi to guys in the chat. Thanks for joining. Tropical Trevor, Laguber Zakwar, Bossman Rift, Reality 404. Put a TV in the bath. That's tempting.
I've just realised I can't actually see the chat, but there we go.
Nice. And then for Sauce House, Love Like Semtex, Will Kirkby. By the way, Will Kirkby, really nice 16K intro. I think I told you that at Revision, but just in case. That's YX, I believe. So first,
yes.
This person's first prod, so awesome work. Android, Aldroid SLP, and Mr. Toop, how's it going, guys?
Aldroid. I think it's Aldroid, unless I've been saying it wrong all these years.
And I did say hi to Alcama, right? That's important.
That's very important.
I hope he's still wearing a suit.
Always. He's a dapper man.
He was so dapper during the, well, first of all, the Meteorics.
Oh, yes.
Still riding that high, even though this is last year's trophy. But also during the live coding compos, so that was awesome. Anyway.
I can see chat now. Hang on.
Perfect.
Yay. Not that I'll be, I'm obviously trying to concentrate, so anyway.
Before we really dig in here, we should probably watch this. And by watch, yes. I mean, remember that this is a tracked music entry. You guys have probably all seen this if you're here, but we're going to watch it anyway. And specifically, we're going to watch this on YouTube because I want to watch the live version. So I'm pulling that up now.
Yeah, it does make me very happy when I watch this. I have to admit.
It's so hype. Yeah, this is good enough framing for this. So I'm gonna just hit play on this, and I'm gonna mute us, right? And we're just gonna sit in this. It's gonna be awesome. So let's go. Actually, Hoffman's not gonna be muted, so I won't mute me either. Yeah, as Legibber points out, the slides were super pro.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm extremely proud of this. By the way, a couple things in the chat. Dark Second pointed out, I wonder if we could have hidden the actual music in the animations. I think we'll actually cover that in the slides.
I think so, yeah.
Just the general limits of this technique, because it wasn't limitless, but it had a lot of room for really fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to basically throw it over to Hoff now, because okay, we already watched it. Yeah, nice.
See?
Good call on
totally
the slides.
Prepared.
And good call on me being prepared, yeah.
It's the only way I would remember anyway.
Right.
So obviously for the uninitiated, which there's probably very few of you out there, what is a tracker? Well, a tracker is a music editing program back from the Amiga and MS-DOS days. And what you would generally have is a collection of samples and a collection of patterns, which basically play those samples at different pitches and rates, different volumes and what have you. And you have commands in there to make it do things like change a volume or change a pitch in varying different ways. The beauty of a tracked music file is that if someone's written something, you can open it up in that program and you can steal all their samples and you can see exactly how everything was made.
That's absolutely how I started doing music.
Exactly. It's the best way. But so yeah, so as far as it's open, it's just that's one of the great things about it. There's no way. It's not like a studio production where you'll do things with loads of plugins and you'll just end up with a rendered WAV at the end. You can go in and you can pick about and you can see how stuff's done. There's kind of, I suppose, the three primary, at least the three main formats for the revision track compo is mod, which is Pro Tracker from Amiga, XM, which is Fast Tracker 2 on the PC, MS-DOS or around that, and Impulse Tracker, which is also, I think it's called Schism Tracker. It's not one that I really deal with that much. So
there's a Scream Tracker as well, right? At one point?
Yes, Scream Tracker. Yeah. So they all have varying, abilities, channels and what have you. So they all have different bits and pieces. So it should be So here's just a quick example of one that we're all very familiar with, which is Pro Tracker. And it's kind of broken down into, you can see on the left hand side there's the line number. So there's one pattern, there's a line number, and then obviously that's a note. Then further on, that's a sampled number. So Pro Tracker has got 31 samples. You pick which sample you want there and which note you wanted to play at. And then you have an effect channel with a value of which effect you want to do, and then a parameter value for that effect in the last column there.
I think I'm pointing to the right things. No, this is probably the command, right?
If you look at effect, it's like highlighted in a nice big white box for you there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow. So helpful.
It's because I put the text around the wrong way, you see.
Right.
And then obviously your effect value, which is, in this case, obviously a byte. And then up in the top left, so what you can see there is obviously that would be a pattern. In Pro Tracker, they're 64 lines long. And obviously you'll have a bunch of notes and samples that play, and you make a collection of those patterns. And then what you do is you play those patterns in a set order. So in the top left, you see where you got position. That's the position of your song. The pattern is the pattern number index of which pattern it's playing at that point. And the length is how many patterns that song is made up of. Right.
So as a little aside, I'm actually not familiar with this. You said that this was Pro Tracker, right?
Yes, this is exactly Pro Tracker.
I know that it's like, especially after having worked on this entry, it's like sacrilege to even ask that question. But I totally got my start with trackers because I got into, back when I was programming graphics for the first time, I was using a Blitz Basic, and Blitz Basic came with a bunch of assets, and a lot of them were just like these .mod files or these .xm files. And the only thing that I could find, this must have been 2004 or so, the only thing I could find that could open all those on my PC was ModPlug. So yes. Shout outs to ModPlug. And the only reason I even know about a lot of these formats is because they were the options that I could save stuff as out of ModPlug. So just a small aside that
it's also showing my age. So
yeah, there is a date here.
Yeah, 92. Yeah. Yes. Finishing my GCSEs that year.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Okay, so as far as people doing silly things with tracked music entries, we're definitely not the first by any stretch. No. There's been a lot previous. So here's a few examples. The first one being Black Queen, which is a Pro Tracker mod. So the YouTube for that will be, you'll see a display in Pro Tracker.
Do you reckon we should watch one of these?
Yes. Because if we're going to watch one.
The strobe one was really short.
Yes, ran out of patterns. Let's do that. Yeah.
Thought this was a good one if we're gonna show one.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just doing this in YouTube, but it'll work. There should be sound here, right?
I think so. I can't hear it from your end.
Here we go. Oh, this is Cell 2. Is this the right one?
It is the right one. I don't know why they call it Cell 2.
Okay. I love that end screen.
Yeah, so that's just as an example, obviously what you can obviously do with a lot of channels and what have you. Some of the other examples, I mean, if you've ever caught my Pro Tracker seminar, I go through a lot of those on there as just examples of people doing really silly things with music software.
And by the way, we'll totally have links for the slides in the YouTube description when we put this up later, so that should be nice.
Cool.
And I'll probably have that up within the next few days. I've been really bad at that lately, so yell at me if I forget.
Wicked. Okay, so the whole crux, the whole reason why all of these tricks work of jumping around all over the place is down to
Sorry about that. I thought that I was going to get 2 of these windows so I could continue showing the have this like side by side with what the tracker stuff looks like, but I guess not. Anyway, my bad.
So the trick which makes all of this possible is there's 2 commands within Pro Tracker and also Fast Tracker. So the first one is the B command, which is it jumps to a position in the song. So if you imagine, obviously the song's got a collection of patterns, so like a list of index patterns. The B command will say, right, I want to jump to position 8. So it's a really good way of having like a tune which starts off, plays 4 patterns and then plays another 4 patterns and then jumps to position 4. So it just continually loops, that part of the tune. That's also how people used to put multiple tunes inside a Pro Tracker tune user or a Fast Tracker tune using the same sample set, is they would just make them loop back and then start the song from a certain position so that it would then play that song. So you'd end up with like sub songs in there.
Cool.
The D command was more a kind of Pro Tracker thing because the pattern lengths were always a static 64 lines. You couldn't change them. You couldn't make them shorter. You couldn't make them longer. Every pattern you made was 64 lines. So obviously if you do some weird timing or whatever and you need every pattern to be, a third long or whatever, maybe you're doing triplets, then you could use that command to make the patterns end sooner.
I remember mostly seeing that with a D00. And I guess that would just end the pattern and go to the next pattern.
Yeah. So the parameter value. So this is the one with the most annoying parameter value of all. So exactly, it's this silly decimal max 99. Exactly right.
Right, because usually these are 2 digits hexadecimal. So
exactly.
It'll give you 0 to 255, but in this case, it's like BCD.
0 to 99. Yeah, exactly. Yes, the most frustrating thing ever. And I think the reason for that is that the Pro Tracker display had decimal numbers down the side rather than hexadecimal. So they thought they would keep it the same as what you see. And then when Fast Tracker took the format and then made, a multi-channel PC tracker for it, they basically kept it the same because they wanted to make sure that mods kind of worked in there.
The only
very
other
clever of them, really.
Like the instruments are hexadecimal. The only other command that works similarly to that is hexadecimal.
Yeah.
So the sensible choice is to make it different.
Yeah. Of course. So obviously, kind of as trackers work, they obviously work from the left channel to the right channel. And they run code, do like a code loop across each channels. So what happens is the B command, you have to do these in the right order to get where you want to be. So you first fire in a song jump position, which will tell you which pattern you're going to go into. And then that will ultimately set the line position to 0. Because obviously that's, you want to jump to that position in the song. You want to be at the start of the pattern. So the thing you do after that in the a preceding channel is put a D command and say where within the pattern you want to go. And then it basically means you can access almost anywhere in the tune.
So you would have like a D here and then a B here. Or did I get that wrong?
Other way around. So you get the song position because that clears the parameter. And then the D has to be afterwards to then tell it which line you want to go to.
Right. So you need to take up two channels
effects.
Worth of effects channels there.
Exactly, yeah. So imagine trying to squeeze that in when you've only got 4.
Right.
Takes up a lot of useful space. Okay, so just a few specs here, just because people like Pro Tracker, and so do I. And I've obviously been incredibly sacrilegious by using XM for this compo, but so you can see like the differences in specs are massive. You got anywhere between 2 and 64 channels. You can have 256 patterns. The pattern length can be anywhere between 1 to 256 lines, so they're completely variable per pattern as well. And you have 256 song positions as well, and 256 samples. But you can do more samples than that. I mean, I'm sure you'd run out of memory before then anyway.
Yeah.
But it's got a concept of multi-sampling, so you can actually load like 4 or 5 different samples into one instrument and then spread them across the keyboard, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone use within that format.
I actually have seen that, but again, it was in like 2004, 2005. I think there was a couple tracks from Assembly that did that for piano rolls.
Oh, that'd be the way. It'd make it easier for them to compose with then, doesn't it? So
yeah, I think.
Yeah, so obviously for this, the whole idea was to try and make something that was going to be visually pleasing, and the only way you're going to do that is if you've got bigger patterns with more channels and different, obviously larger sizes. So,
yeah.
So
we looked at. Sorry, talking over each other here. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
So like we looked at what they used to display, or specifically Hoffman did this, but looked at what they used, like which XM player they actually used to display the tracked music as it was playing, because it is, even if we saw our entry and the other one that we showed, which again was not for the same compo, but you can see when without the crazy stuff happening, it is actually pretty pleasing to watch the things scroll by, because you can see the events happening. It's kind of neat to look at while you're watching it. So they usually display the modules in some kind of way where you can actually see that, and in particular they use this specific software called XM Play, and they also used a specific font and a specific resolution for the beamer most of the time.
Yes,
I won't say anything more about that.
That is why it's on one of the latest slides, but yeah. So we'll get to that.
But it just means that like, because they had used that in previous years, we assumed that those would be the specs, and so with that, we were able to, see if we could exploit that in a pleasing way. Yeah.
So yes, XM Play kind of displays the patterns in actually 2 different ways. So on the left, you'll see when there's 18 channels or less, you'll see there's like note information, but you'll also get like an effect or sample number column as well between each of the channels. But then as soon as you hit 20 channels or more, then it does away with it completely, and the only thing you're left with is it's just a single note column, but that also switches out depending on whether it's a note or an effect or some other piece of data in there. So
see here, there's even both in the same column.
Yeah. So it kind of there's like a hierarchy of what kind of pops out on the display. Obviously, the note is at the top of that hierarchy, and then there's other stuff after it. But so yeah, that was one of the main reasons for going for like as many channels as possible, is so that we could kind of reduce that middle section essentially, and then just have something that we could just focus on, because it kind of the display ends up being about it's kind of like a slightly fat Commodore 64 with about 3 across to 1 down. Yeah. So
by the way, YX says what does it do for 19 channels? Because we've got 18 less and 20 and more.
That's a good question, because you cannot, as far as I understand, you cannot create an XM with an uneven number of channels.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So there's actually a good answer for that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so building the tool. So obviously hand drawing 16 frames of plasma is utter madness. No one would ever want to do that. But also the main reason is to separate obviously the music composition and visual workflows, so that you can write the music and you don't have to worry about visual things. You don't have to really consider that much. You can just get on and do that as a separate side thing. And then the visuals you can just plug on top. C# because it's what I do as a day job. And I know it pretty well. And that's that.
We make a lot of tools in logicoma, more than we make demos. And this is no exception.
Yeah, I think I've probably spent more time coding than I did. Well, almost about the same amount of time as coding as I did writing music. But yeah, this was creatively difficult for some reason.
And I would also like to point out that it was also Hoffman that made this tool, just to give more credit up there.
Okay, so obviously the first step in anything like this is to serialize it. So I don't know if you could pull that up.
Oh, I love these documents.
There you go.
Like this document has not changed. That
No,
makes me happy.
and it's got some. It's definitely got a kind of demo scene aesthetic to it because it's been updated from the original documentation that was supplied by someone who had some questionable comments for the people that have made the documentation.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really it's an interesting read, I must say.
Only a year later, even.
Yeah. So obviously that's where you get started. You find the format spec. So I started creating a class that would house the extended module and all of its properties and everything. The added complication to their format is that the pattern data is actually compressed. It's not great compression, but it's, again, you can't just go in and read the binary, edit it, and then write it back again. You have to go through a decompress and a repack to get it all sorted. Obviously, once we've got the pattern data uncompressed, we've got it in a byte array. We can just poke away at it, make new patterns, simple as.
The annoying part about that, though, is that when you start adding patterns or changing patterns, the size of the module doesn't necessarily scale how you might expect, because it's going to scale sort of through the compression.
Yes.
So that's a bit of an unknown, but
yeah. That's what the magic bar was for.
Yeah, but working through compressors is not really something where that's usually a problem for us.
Yes,
we're used to that at least.
Also, shout outs to Delta-Phi, because I had when I was trying to write the serializer and deserializer, there was some things that just weren't working, and he pointed me in the right direction, and actually made it happen, which was great. So cheers, pal.
Internet 5 to this person.
So in XM or Fast Tracker 2, each pattern cell. And
this is the uncompressed version, of course.
Yes, this is the uncompressed. It's made up of 5 bytes. So you've got a note, a sample number, volume command, an effect command, and an effect value. So you've actually got 3 bytes just to tell it what the volume and pitch is supposed to be, which is super handy, actually.
I guess zeros for all of these would just be like nothing. Well, except the effect value.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if the effect command is 0, which is the arpeggiator, so the end result is the pitch values are 0, so they don't move.
Right. And I guess there's probably a special value in the note column because I think XM can do cutoff or like stop commands.
Yeah, it's got a note off command, which is number 97.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, next up was image conversion. So we're in C# already, so it was very easy to just pull in a PNG and then recurse through all the pixels. And we've had some, based on the kind of display we spoke about earlier, there's, a few different ways that you could display it. But, obviously, if you just pick a nice basic where if it's black or if it's white, we either write nothing or we write just a simple note into the pattern data. There were some other options, which actually, have you got the test card? Should be in the...
Let me pull that up. That was in the collab stuff.
Yeah.
Which folder was that in again?
Rec
teardown stuff.
There we go.
All right, test card. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, wow.
So it's a bit long. So if you zoom in.
Can I
so
scroll?
if you go all the way, can you not scroll that? That's slightly...
What a shit show. Hold on. Again, high quality production we've got going here. I'm legit gonna open this in Photoshop. No, actually, I'll do it in Paint. That'll work. Paint 3D. What even? Why? Okay. All right. This will work. Okay.
Excellent. There we go. So if you think back to the the byte indexes that we had earlier for the tracker cell, so obviously the index value on the left-hand side is the actual value we're putting into that column. So obviously the first one being note, second one being sample number, and then you've got the volume command and the effect command there. So kind of if you look down the list, there are actually a few different ways that you could texture stuff, but we kind of ran out of time. So we just ended up going for obviously like a straight, I think it was a G sharp 1, I think. I'm not sure how it ended up being that value.
Black and white.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it turned out nice, but yeah, definitely more we could probably explore next time. That's on me, by the way. I was a bit lazy about this. I'll admit, but I think it worked out well in the end.
It was fine in the end, yeah. So we obviously worked out based on the display that we get from XM Play that full screen, a tune that has got 64 channels across and 100 lines top to bottom would basically fill the entire display at 1080p. So yeah, there's a quick example. So that's obviously a full screen. So that would be 64 across, 100 down. So
this says logicoma, by the way, just making sure everyone knows. I'm pretty sure people recognize these symbols by now, even if they don't know Japanese.
Oh, they'll know it subconsciously anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where stuff gets really complicated.
Indeed. I should probably pull up the tool. Or
actually, yeah, because you could actually load the project files in the.
Yeah, you'll have to guide me on where to click around, but I think this.
Yeah,
is worth
be
doing,
careful.
Yeah, right. Just
So
gonna make sure I pull the latest, and you can stall until then.
So we'll start on the explanation of what the injection plan was. So the idea of this is that obviously we can jump around wherever we want in the tune,
like that song.
Yeah. So what happens is so with an injection plan, you basically say, right, I'm gonna pick a pattern in the original song, like position 5, whatever. Okay, and it's got 65 lines of note data. So you can then say, right, I'm going to animate that with 8 frames of PNGs. So you then import your 8 frames of PNGs, and then what it will do is it will start at the top of the pattern, and then take the first line off of that pattern, and then insert it into our new pattern, and then paste the image onto that one. So that's frame 1 done. And then it goes through and recurses through all the frames, moving down the source pattern information until it runs out of images. And then when it's run out of images, it says, well, we've still got, 2/3 of a pattern to fill out for this. So it then jumps back to the first pattern in that loop, and then moves down a line, and then starts copying the rest of the music data in there until it's looped around all the way down through the pattern, and does that.
Do you have you have this here. Probably what helped while you were explaining that.
Yeah, it's still quite kind of hard to understand it, even just looking at this. But
it's a bit.
So if you look at the source, pattern, so position 0 ends up on frame 1 at position 0. Position 1 ends up on position 0 of frame 2, and so on and so forth until it runs out. So if you look obviously in the second channel where the kick is, it's obviously on the first of every 4th line. And then you can see on frame 1, it would be on the first of every frame.
This is every 4th line. This is every 4th line offset by 1, 2, and 3.
And so on and so forth. Yeah. Yeah. So they'll be it'll basically take frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, and then tell it to jump to that line across. And then so it will play those 4 frames of animation, and then it will jump back to there again, and then move down the line and carry on playing it. So the way it plays the music back is seamless. It's exactly how it's supposed to play it back. But obviously the animations around the side are looping around and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I'm really happy this wasn't done by hand.
It's impossible. So to add into the complication of that, so first of all, obviously you're pasting this song data somewhere into another pattern. So the destination line means that we could take like a tune and then break it out into those smaller chunks, and then we could insert it kind of halfway through the pattern. So our destination patterns or our animation frames could be much bigger, top and bottom, and then it would obviously jump into there. So start playing from position 50, and then 51, 52, 53.
By the way, Will Kirkby says, the source row X ends up at frame X modulo 4, position X divided by 4. That's almost correct. In fact, it's correct if the number of frames for an animation is 4, but it's technically N, because I think we have some 8 and 16 frame ones that we use here.
And we've also got the strange little 5-frame edit as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's it's one of those things where when you write it, you kind of put it all in. You go, I've got this, and then afterwards you think, how am I going to explain this to someone?
Yeah.
So that's basically how it works. So the complication with that is obviously if you're starting your music data. So obviously if you imagine 2 patterns that normally play, it goes from top to bottom. So you put your animation frame on the second pattern. So this will go from top to bottom, but that pattern now needs to jump into, halfway through the next pattern. So you have to obviously keep that into consideration when you're doing these, because otherwise it will start playing 50 lines of nothing of the first frame and then catch and then start looping around. If that makes sense.
Yeah. This loop jump example, is that in our folder here?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to fire up Milky Tracker, and you're going to tell me where to click on this.
In fact, you can fire that one up in... I can
try Modplug as well.
Or no, just open it in XMPlay, it'd be fine.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I should have that somewhere. It's in my path, so I'll just... That's the way I'll open that. And here... I hate these interfaces. Is it in general? No, it's in...
No. Oh, no, you press the I to the left of the transport buttons.
The I?
Information.
Where is that?
In the main window.
Oh, here.
Yeah, down by the play buttons.
I.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's just...
Oh, that is it. Oh, and then you go Viz. And then you right-click that.
I haven't loaded the thing yet. I need to load the file. Do I just drag that over?
I think you can. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah. Oh. Bang. So yeah, you can see a very basic example of how this works and looks in context.
Yeah. So that's kind of there's because obviously all the counters for the positions are in the code throughout the loop. Then we can obviously create things that jump about backwards, forwards, however we want. And then the rest was the mess. So there's lots of obviously there's lots of complications with this, because you're telling it, if you think about if you put an injection plan in that says I want to jump back to position 50. And then the next thing you do is insert another injection plan in front of it that adds another 5 patterns. Then the referencing's all off. So everything you have to do everything in the right order. So you have to order them in reverse, do the last to first. But every time you put in the position jump, you have to keep a record of that and then remap those every time you insert a new one.
Right.
And if there's 2 injection plans next to each other and they've got different starting positions, you have to then pull those together and say, right, to make sure this is seamless and we don't pay junk that doesn't do anything, you have to, pick that value for the jump instead.
Yeah, and when he says injection plans, I'm just going to show the tool a little bit here. I won't click around in here too much.
Just in case it crashes, yes.
Yeah. But the idea is that we have several injection plans here, and they show, where in the song is going to be the destination line, all the different loop parameters. And for several of these, you'll see also, this is not plasma. I wonder which one that is. Oh, no, now plasma.
Plasma.
I bet
not
it was
plasma.
the flower. I bet it was.
Yeah, that is the flower. Yeah,
that's funny. And then here we can see just the names of a bunch of these images, the actual images themselves. We can probably show a bit later. And I can also show a little bit about the Rust pattern generation stuff, because I pulled up the code there. But it's not very fancy, so... But just, so these are the different plans, and then just making sure all these parameters actually work with everything is a bit of a mess.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the I suppose the real benefit of the whole thing really was, obviously we got to the party, and we didn't have any graphics, but the tool was there and just did exactly what we needed it to do. Oh, there we go.
I just have to show this. I know that this is wavy and crappy, but like this is the pictures that Hoffman drew so that I could basically build the prototypes that I needed to do. I just wrote them in Rust, and I just pulled up a pixel buffer and then just wrote stuff to that and then had that dump out PNGs, and then that made it just instantly compatible with this.
Yeah.
I can actually show one of those really quick just because it's not going to take long. The idea was that I'll just run this. I think this is the plasma. So what it would do is when I run this, it'll generate the patterns and then it'll dump the PNGs. And then it will display this in a loop. So this is kind of the preview that I had. So there's like a pattern buffer, and then there's a thing where it displays that on the screen with kind of accounting a little bit for the change in aspect when it's actually going to be displayed by the tracker. And then it blocks out the middle section where the tracker data itself is in red here. Just to make sure that I got the alignments right and everything. And that I just did with this drawing that Ian made. And then I made several different patterns with that. Yeah, by the way, this is totally using Daniel Collins' Rust Mini FB. So as I always do whenever I need a pixel buffer. So yeah.
So that's pretty much the mess. That's kind of the last step was obviously injection stills. So when the greetings section scrolls up, that's just a still image. I coded it, but we actually only used one on the day. But it was just while it was there because it made it a lot easier to kind of manage. We got Wobble on the day to just write out some greets, gave him the spec of the image, and then we just inject that in.
I'm trying to find the file here.
It should be in the rec folder, I think.
I didn't see it in the teardown folder, at least.
It'll be in the collab revision 18 tracked.
Yeah.
And then in the from Ferris.
Right.
And then greetings.
Oh, yeah. Just have to show this. With the worst scaling possible, but this is the original for the greetings as well. And we made sure, especially to greet fair-legged.
Absolutely tremendous.
And then I can also show just really quick what those. So I mentioned I showed the pattern generator that I used, and then we can see those are the flower. So these are what those images actually look like. Just different, they're actually named wrong, but they look something like this. And so here's the pattern in the aspect that we give to the tool, and then it's it gets naturally stretched by the XM thing display, XM play display. There we go. Words. So yeah, those are the different ways that we could inject stuff into the track, and then the tool allowed us to actually put all that together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mean that was that's all the tools built. Actually, I suppose one thing you could fire up in the folder in the rec teardown, fire it up in XM play. And it's called proof of concept. So after all the tools are built, I knocked up a quick test tune and started grabbing some animated GIFs. Online, some 16 8 frame things, and then just started to put them in with the tools to make sure to know how things work. Bingo.
So yeah. By the way, Will Kirkby pointed out, I thought we split the greets down the middle to put the music like in the center. Why not put the greets in the middle and then split the music down the sides?
That's a really interesting question. You probably could have got away with that. In fact, you definitely could, but you'd have to really give it some consideration on a musical level, because obviously the original tune's only 18 channels wide. And obviously we expanded it out to be 64 to get all the graphics down the side of the top. So you could, in theory, say on a particular pattern, okay, I want to move the musical elements out to the side and then put the greets down the middle. But the problem you then have is that if you've left a sample playing in one of those channels, then obviously it goes through to the next channel, in that pattern, and then it goes through to the next pattern. Those notes that are being injected into the pattern data would then start to maybe play that sample. So you could, in theory do it, but you'd really need to give it some thought.
Weird. Yeah, in our case, just because we always did stuff down the sides, it just made it easier because we knew that there was never any lingering state that was in any of those channels.
Yeah. So we just, the channels that play the music remain the same as they would do, before we'd actually put any of the visuals in, essentially. Okay. Making the music. There was a choice of a few trackers that do the format that we picked, obviously. Open mod plug, Milky Tracker, and Fast Tracker 2 if I wanted to fire up DOSBox. Although I do hear there is now a Windows port of it. What I didn't know is that Fast Tracker 2 only does 32 channels. So you can't play it in that.
Nice.
But you can play the original tune in it, though. So, it still works as far as that's concerned. As far as styles
pull
concerned,
that up, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll play a little bit of that. This is the pre-visual XM. And basically the main thing you'll notice is that it's this is all the space for the loading bar. But it's not as wide. I'm just letting it play because it's funny to me. And so, this looks exactly like it would otherwise.
Yeah.
Except that the progress bar actually increases linearly other than bouncing around so much.
Yeah. That's actually that's quite worth demonstrating when the animations are on, actually.
Yeah. I'll actually play that really quick. Just here. This thing just jumps around a lot, so you can see again how it was jumping.
So you can see at the end of each animation loop that it jumps and then loops that part there.
It's actually probably really hard to see this with my encoder, but anyway.
If you pick one of the ones from later on, it's a lot longer, but that's fine. You can see it kind of, it's not doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah, and you guys can check this out yourself as well. So
yeah. I suppose the other thing I wanted to kind of pull up was obviously if there's people watching that like doing tracking, I did actually work out a pretty neat side chaining trick with Fast Tracker 2, which will require you to open Milky. Yep.
So you're gonna have to guide me through even how to open songs in
this
thing.
So you can just go load disk up.
Right.
And then load.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I can pull up something from the Wreck Teardown stuff.
Where is it? The pre-visual XM.
Mm-hmm. Does that look right?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks right. Excellent. Then, just hit play song.
Where's that? Here.
There we go.
Nice.
So I think we've got about 8 channels that I used 4 or 8 channels that I used for drums. But if you go to the instrument editor,
which is this inst button?
No, further down underneath load, inst ed. There we go. And then just scroll down on the instruments, which is those. Scroll down a bit further. So you can see, obviously, you can do like volume envelopes to make things like fade out and what have you. So it's a good one on the crash, obviously. So you get a nice short loop sample and then just use the volume envelopes. You do is you play the sound once and then it does that nice envelope for you. But the real trick to it. Yeah, so if you push the zoom in button.
Hold on, I need to pause this.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
So where's my zoom button here? Zoom in here.
There we go. So that is basically the it's the sidechain curve that you can trigger with just one single effect command. So the envelope there, it's quite hard to see, but you can say that you want to sustain the note at a particular position. So we just say sustain at position 0 and it will play at maximum volume. So you can play the sound, just normally, and it'll be play at max volume, and obviously stay there. And then there's a command that says trigger the envelope at this particular position. So obviously if you put in position 1, the volume starts low, and then you can create a nice curve upwards.
Ah, nice.
So to trigger, so it was really nice to write that way, because obviously you just look at where the kick and snare are on the pattern data, and then where they are, you just type in an L01 in the other channels. And obviously once you've done one channel, you can just copy and paste that across the other channels when you change it.
And I like how there's a ton of different curves here.
Yeah. So there's certain sounds. It's quite nice to do it that way, because you can, certain sounds that you don't want to duck as much as others, which has made me think maybe I should do a bit more bussing.
Yeah. Nice.
And yet there is far too many channels in that thing. It was really, really hard to write. Yeah. I mean, that's just 18 there, but yeah, it was far too many to deal with.
Too much room for activities.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I suppose the other good thing about doing it in Milky Tracker and Fast Tracker 2 is that the sample quality is all 44 kilohertz 16-bit. So we just throw everything at high quality. But it's really easy to kind of regrade that. If you're running out of space, you can turn them into 8-bit samples. You can resample them and what have you.
Just really quick, I wanted to show this in the injector tool. When I hit this play button, a couple things happen. First of all, it plays, but it also gives us these little progress bars down here.
Yes.
So explain what these are.
Okay, so the one on the left is the size bar. Obviously, the competition revision has a 2 meg size limit. So every time you generate the so if you play it or you dump it, whatever, it will tell you how big it is. It'll also tell you how big it is compared to where you're supposed to be. And obviously, if you make it too big, it replaces that number with a very large swear word.
Yes.
Which is what it's supposed to do. And the other one is the number of positions. So there's 256 song positions in an XM. And obviously, we managed to write the tune in like about 16 or 17 of them. But obviously, if you start animating those, you start running out of those patterns, because basically each one of those is a frame of animation. So we were quite lucky on that we didn't run out. I was expecting us to run out of that more than anything else. But we did actually run out of data very quickly.
And a lot of that was the size of these patterns, I think, too, because of the compression's not very good. And also, I don't think these patterns are particularly that compressible, especially not by an algorithm that's designed to compress music data.
Yeah.
So we hit this limit at one point, and you, if I recall correctly, you actually had to drop the quality of a lot of the samples to make this fit.
Yeah, everything was 16-bit until we got to the party and started running out of space. At which point you start to sort the wheat from the chaff, really, don't you? And just go, do you know what? 8-bit does sound pretty good, don't you think?
It's got that nice 80 PCM crunch.
Yeah, it's that characteristic we're going for now, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Yeah, but it's really good because Milky Tracker's just got an optimization button in it. You just say, I want to optimize, get rid of everything that I'm not using, get rid of all the sounds I'm not using, and convert all the samples to 8-bit. And I went, great, we've got space. We can do the rest of the animations. Everything is good.
I still just love the idea that, when it all came down to it, yeah, we had an awesome track, but we were willing to turn down the quality a bit in order to make sure we had the visuals where we needed them.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what someone would do with 2 meg and a very thrifty approach to their samples, but I don't have a thrifty approach. So
yeah. It worked out though, because this track ended up being, I think as Dascon said earlier, the track ended up holding its own just as a track, which I think is also really important, because I think this would have been a really cheap thing to do in a compo if that had not been the case. But because you had worked so long on the track, then it added to it more than just made it the gimmick. Yeah,
that's the thing is, I don't think that if you watch Black Queen, one of the videos from earlier in Pro Tracker, I mean, it looks really impressive and it's really crazy and it's really fun. But the music is terrible.
Right.
It's really, really bad. It's really bad.
Oh, that's funny.
So I think next is revision is here, but the graphics are not.
My fault.
I think we probably covered most of this, really. There's some, you generate the stuff by Rust. You throw them on the Google Drive. We could just pull them into the tool really quickly. And everything seemed to come together pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it says scroll through tune and XM play. I'm actually kind of curious. About
So
that.
this is so this is quite. So if you load up the actual release, the demo.
Look, I'll do it this way. Bam.
Excellent. Yeah. So
We
if you hit pause.
Pause.
Yeah, and then just when you're in the mod display, just click left and right with the cursors.
Oh, in here?
Yeah. Just left and right on the cursors. Your keys.
Oh, those ones, yeah. Right. It's kind of cool how it does the jumps.
Yeah.
I don't think it's doing right, but...
No, actually, it's because it'll only do the first round of animation, because obviously you then jump past it. You don't do the looping back.
Right.
The one thing that I don't know if you can see on here, unless you make the thing a bit bigger, as you can, I think. Just on the right-hand side of this one here, you'll see there's like a clear area where like it looks like the graphic state has been removed.
Over here.
Yeah. So what happens there is that's the position jump commands.
Right.
Okay. So what I decided obviously at the start just to put them on the outside, but actually looking at the music data, there's no reason why you couldn't have squeezed those inside the box and actually leave that area at the back.
As long as they weren't taken up by anything else. So there probably was room to do it.
There was lots of room. Lots of room. Far too many channels. So you could have easily like written a routine to kind of jump in there and see where best to place them and then keep track of them that way. But we were already 20 minutes from the deadline. I wasn't about to change the code at that point, I don't think. So
I must say though, it was super fun to sit down and do this on Friday.
Yeah.
Just to be like, okay, we're synced up, we're doing this stuff. We got all three of us working on this. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
And it also, I think, which was really important at the party at the time, that people didn't know that we also had a 64K. So it helped sort of detract attention from that as well. So I was pretty happy with it.
That's right. Remember, we weren't lying. You were working on visuals for the live show,
right? Yes, that is absolutely true. And I tried to, well, okay, I did lie a couple times, but most of the time I would just say, someone would ask, oh, you have a 64K? We just focused on the live show visuals. And I wouldn't say yes or no, but I did a couple times. And Garguy called me a lying piece of crap later, so I deserve that. By the way,
oh yeah.
Will Kirkby said, "Was there a reason they have to appear blank?" And I think that's just it didn't know, like the way which channel XM Play displays seems to be somewhat arbitrary.
They don't have to be. I mean, it looks blank. I mean, there is data in there. As a command that tells it to jump, a particular position, but XM Play doesn't display it. So that's why if you were to stick it into the song data, again, you wouldn't see it because it would be tactically placed kind of in with everything else. But yeah, another reason why it actually clears the whole cell. So I think there was a point where it was that there's like a deduping mechanism inside the code as well. So every time it does an injection plan, it checks for any patterns that are identical and then removes them and remaps them. So it's kind of self-cleaning up every time that it runs. And the problem is that I was getting a difference if there was a graphic image and a position jump command in the same place.
Yeah.
So I just cleaned them up and it kind of helped. It's just one of those things. Sometimes it would get a duplicate pattern because the spacing between the notes was virtually identical, but sometimes it wouldn't. But that's why they end up being blank, because it just forces them out.
There might be more room for exploration there, but I think it's fine that we didn't. That we did what we did.
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay, hold on. I tried to scroll in the... Okay. So scroll up there. XM Play is...
Interesting.
The crux of good UX. Anyway, why did I pull this up? Now I don't remember. Oh yeah, I was gonna simulate your screen size. Because this is 1080p. So when I stream here, I have a 40-inch 4K monitor, And so I just streamed the top right of my screen. And I'm saying this specifically because I know that Hoffman had a way worse setup at Revision.
Oh,
he basically had like the corner of this. So you can almost imagine something like this is what he's working with.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd failed to realise what the resolution of my laptop was before leaving for the party. So I hadn't spotted the stuff down the side, which is probably just as well, actually, because I might have tried to fix it.
Yeah.
Which would have been a bad idea.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is that I could see, especially around the the boxed animations, the ones that appear at the end. I could see the box, which meant that I could only miss like the corner bit, and I could kind of assume that the rest of it looked fine, which was a bit of a gamble, but it turned out all right.
Yeah, it was not a problem. Also, no signal input says, surprised that no one around couldn't see what you were up to. I had a few people ask what I was using Rocket for in the live show.
Oh.
But
no, I think Subby did see it beforehand. I did give him a quick show of what we were working on.
I think there were a couple, but anyway. Yeah.
And there you go. And that's how you feel during a compo.
Yeah,
basically.
That never goes away. I just want to point out, like, especially to guys like YX, who this was their first compo, and I bet his heart was pounding out of his chest at the time. But I know, at least for me as well, like this never gets better. It's just always, you get that adrenaline during the compo, and that's just how it is. Which is, for better or for worse.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I think I spent the last, like an hour afterwards going, it went all right.
Yeah.
it worked.
It definitely did do both of those things. And yes, as no signal input points out, fair play to that friendly compo team that agreed to sort out the font situation. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yes. So I'd actually, just as we're about to finish, and hand it in, I quickly checked with Saga and said, you're still running the XM compo at 1080p, right? And said, yes, we are, but we're also using a new enlarged font so that everyone can see the smaller tunes.
And what I love about that should have been a good thing.
Yeah, it was a good thing for the rest of the compo. So yeah, it was I had one of those kind of heart-stopping moments, like, oh, we've done this for so long. But yeah, they were really, really, really cool about it. So big ups to Saga and Bitch for that, for actually allowing us to have our own install of XM Play just to play this thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
By the way, I wanted to give a quick shout outs. So my experience, I'm not that well connected with, especially a lot of Amiga sceners. I am as long as they overlap with the PC stuff. So like I'm good friends with like Blueberry and the Loonies guys and some other people. But yeah, like I had never met a lot of these people like DasCon and a lot of the other guys that were in the compo. And I just wanted to say, after this compo, everyone was super friendly about this and coming up and saying hi and introducing themselves. And that kind of made that experience also better for me, just to meet these people and have, such a nice experience with just how friendly the people were after doing something like this. So quick shout outs to those guys as well, just because this was awesome from my end as well.
Yeah, they're a good
Demo
bunch.
scene is nice, I swear. Rad. What else we got?
I think that's it. That is it.
Yeah. Again, shout outs to Hoff for doing basically all the work on this. He really deserves the win here, more than the rest of us.
But yeah, it was good that I keep saying that. I think when we both arrived, we were like, yeah, we've got to do this thing. And then within the first hour, there we go. Within the first hour of us sitting together, it all just came together really nicely.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty clear that it was going to work pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah. Wobble. Hello, sir. See he's in chat.
I like how Malev is pointing out your hat. Any excuse to show branding.
only one of 3. I should have worn that throughout the whole thing, really, shouldn't I?
I got nothing. I'm not wearing mine, so. Neon Eye says, any learnings?
Any learnings? To never write track music again, really.
Yeah, you said that on several occasions now that you don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I really mean it this time. Or definitely not something with that many channels. I think I'll still, there's still a requirement to make music on Amiga, but I don't think I'll bother with another multi-channel tune again. It's I'd much rather just use Wavesaver, to be honest, and a nice modern editor.
Yeah,
please.
That's fair. Alcama says branding level 11 out of 10. Something logicoma something. Reality 404 says wins the tattoo, Hoffman, and I actually know when that is because it's when I get one.
It is when you get one, yeah. So, that was the deal.
Yeah,
I checked with the wife again.
So
still the deal.
So I still don't know. I don't know when it is beyond that, but it's probably inevitable that I'll do it. And then as soon as I do it, then Mullif then says wins the tattoo, Ferris. That I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe if we go to Evoke again.
Mate.
I'll go to the same place that that we went to when Wobble got his last year.
Yeah, this is very impressive, though, isn't it? I mean, it's a whole section of his arm.
Will Kirkby says you got Wobble in on that deal too, right? Wobble has a tattoo.
Yeah,
that's how it started.
That's a done deal. I was gonna say if you got a photo of it, but
I do. I have photos of it like right after it happened because I posted them on Twitter, like pretending it was my arm, but it wasn't. Man, I really sound like a piece of shit liar, don't I? Here we go. Sorry for all the cursing, by the way, but I did mark this as an adult stream.
I'm surprised I didn't swear as much as I normally do, to be honest. Being reversed.
Hold on, I'll find these pictures. Just stall me and just be entertaining. Like.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yes. That was Ferris there with a thing we call picture search, and
here we go.
Maybe there.
This is the warm up. Okay, now this is really funny because if I go one way, there's a really embarrassing picture of me, and if I go the other way, it's the picture of the tattoo. So who wants to place their bets? Because I don't remember which way it was. Yeah. Place your bets. Are we going to see a tattoo or me lying on the floor at Solskogen? We won't get both. That I'll tell you. Actually, we will if I do the wrong one. I'm waiting for the chat delay. I think this is hilarious. 65 viewers, and this is what I use it on. Just want to remind everyone what they're watching. Luguber knows which moment it is, too. All right, I'm just going to do this.
It's not JC.
All right, it was the right one.
Oh, you did well. At least you didn't pull up JCO's moment from revision this year.
Yeah, not doing that.
No.
That's all you guys get. So yeah, so Wobble totally has his already. And the rest of us have to catch up. We'll see. Oh man. So yeah, any other questions or anything before we
Yeah, probably how does it work again, Ian? You haven't explained it very well.
Yeah, right.
I suppose what I should say is that the code's currently on GitHub. It is in a bit of a mess, but I might just release it as is, and then you can bug fix it yourself.
Yeah, I like that attitude, especially for like demo scene tools.
Yeah.
Just put it out, and then people can still learn from it already. So.
Yeah. I think actually it's fairly well written. Better than some of the stuff I've done.
Maybe I shouldn't say that though. By the way, since we have an impending release of something else that we should probably be working on.
We're more serious about that. This is fine. Yeah, we actually need that thing to work.
Yeah. No Signal Input said, do you think there's anything else you can do to bring the tracked music compo to another level, or is this all we can expect?
You could probably add some more texture to the visual, I guess. But I suppose a point for me really is that it's been like 4 years since I did the track music compo, and the main reason for that is that every time I've done a revision, I've always tried to make it better than the last one.
Yeah, that's the worst for keeping doing
yeah,
things.
exactly. So it's like I don't really want to, unless it's gonna that's it's a bit of a blocker for me, I guess. But
I know that feeling though.
Yeah, exactly. And, the year before, well, the in 2014, it was Professional Tracker, where we'd managed to squeeze a bit of pattern animation in and 2 verses and a chorus of rapping in 2 meg, which was
pretty sick.
And it's really nice lyrics as well. So it's like after that, I was just like, I've got nothing more to give at the moment until we came up with this blooming idea. so
so
it's, I'm not saying there is. Not saying that is it, but
I'm part of this as soon or exactly up until the point where there's any blame, and then
yeah. I think it's time for Laguba to really step up and he said he had an ISO of all of his old all of his old tracked music, and he said he just needs to enter one of those old ones from 2003, and it just win. So
extremely important to call out Laguber whenever you get the chance, by the way. Just for those of you guys that are new in the demo scene, call out Laguber as much as you can.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Especially those of you guys that are new.
No, sorry, correction, 1997.
Right.
Wow.
Satan Magic says, will you come to Outline and do a mini version of your set outside? It might be a bit late notice for that as well, but I would not mind doing another set like that. Just from my perspective of the guy that just did the visuals and didn't have any pressure.
Didn't have any pressure.
Well, yeah, that's maybe not true, but during the set, didn't have if I messed up, it wasn't jarring for the entire audience.
I suppose it goes a bit dark for a bit, or freezes on a frame.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
That happened during our set, but not because I messed up. It was because I actually changed shader code.
Nice.
Let's see. Mala said, if you could create a huge animation, how big would the animation be? I mean, I guess it'd be max patterns, assuming worst compression.
I did a test actually of just one of the initial tests was I filled 256 patterns with 256 lines of nothing, and it came out about 4 meg. So that's nothing.
No.
And it came out at 4 meg. So
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so you could, I think that's not peak pattern data that you could get. Peak would be obviously about 5 times that. But yeah, you could probably squeeze a good few seconds of video in it if you really wanted to bother.
Awesome.
Yeah. Obviously the music wouldn't be very good at that point then, because you've left yourself no space. But also I guess, at that point, the revision compo has got obviously a size on it, which stops people from just basically pasting in massive chunks of audio and playing them on loop. So
YX also asked, do you think such shenanigans corrupt the track music compo into being how silly can we get with the visuals? I worry that the track music compos will become the make silly art in XM play compo unless the organizers ban such entries. It seems to me, at least, that hasn't been a problem yet. We were not the first ones to do this, and I don't really feel like this would scale that way.
No. Well, we hope not. I mean, who knows what happens when the GitHub code becomes public? It's not my problem then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you wouldn't want just animations for animation's sake, would you?
Yeah.
You want a decent tune with it.
Yeah. Again, I praise Hoff for doing a really fantastic music entry in addition to the visuals. That's really what you definitely earned it. Definitely.
Still not as hard as the C64 music though.
No, and that next one will be fun. No Signal Input said, I was trying to fall asleep during their gig at Evoke last year. It didn't work, but it was nice to try to.
Thanks, man.
I do. Yeah, thank you, and no apologies.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. No. Just not sorry. Thank you, not sorry. Cool. What else we got here? Neon Eye just says, what was the phases of the creation? That's actually something that I don't think we said explicitly. But it was actually pretty boxed.
Yeah, very much so. So I think kind of started January. I think I looked at XM as a format. And just, I had a little play with it, wrote a little the little tune that I think may have been playing on some of the examples is just something I threw together, just to kind of see how it worked. So once I'd seen how, I was going to be comfortable with the tracker, I just put that to one side and then started creating the tool throughout all of January. And then by January, the tool was pretty much finished. So then went and just started working on the music for like the next 2 months.
By the end of January, right?
Yeah.
If I recall the torrent of Slack messages correctly.
Yeah, I've done it. Oh my god, it works. So
Mario,
January.
Thanks for the follow.
So January was code. February to March into April was the music, which took a lot longer than normal. Mainly because I had quite a lot of run-ups. When you're writing a tune, it's never the first idea that comes up that you end up rolling with. There's usually a good few run-ups, and it took quite a few to get this one running, and then a lot more run-ups to get the last section of the tune finished, which just seemed to take forever.
Yeah. I remember you saying multiple times how I remember you coming back and saying I just had a really frustrating night in the studio several times during that period.
Yeah. Really, I mean, I'm quite lucky that it doesn't happen that often, but when it does in that quick succession, especially when you kind of pile on a bit of pressure onto yourself, thinking you need to make sure that this delivers if you're trying, right? So,
I feel like that's somewhat like it may not be normal for it to be that many blocking days in a row, but it's totally normal. Like you say, you never go with the first idea. It's always that feedback loop anyway. It's like that a lot with visuals too, but especially I find with music that it seems to be worse.
Yes, it can be really bad.
Thanks for the follow, Dascon.
And obviously all the visuals were done on the Friday before the deadline. That was block 3. Lasted all of 7 hours.
And so the visuals were all done in that last Friday. The week before I actually took off, and I mostly worked on the live set visuals that also became the intro. I did sit down a couple times. I don't think I ever made anything in the tool, but I did dig around, especially bees and bombs, just looking for looping patterns. But a lot of them, I just remember thinking like, these are really great, but they're all like too high res, or like I just didn't feel like they would work. And so we ended up going with a lot of classic kind of demo effects, mostly because I knew that they would look good chunky.
Yeah. And they're quite easy to loop as well.
Yes. Yes. Very important that they would loop smoothly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Everyone's asking if we're coming to Nova. Still need to check on that because Ian absolutely is and has totally invited the crap out of us. And I'm totally into that, but we need to check with some stuff. Wait. Oh, I missed it. I was going to freeze your face on that. So we'll talk about that.
I mean, the offer has been extended, including a trip to Stonehenge, which,
what's the meaning
very
of
often.
Stonehenge?
Yeah. I actually know a wizard. Oh, sorry, is he a druid? No, sorry. Yes, he is a druid. We just called him a wizard, but yeah, he's the old tester from our place. And
Nice.
no word of a lie, he's got a beard that's 2 foot long.
Wow. That's a
amazing.
proper beard.
Yes. But yeah, he goes up to the summer solstice every year like a proper druid.
That's so cool.
And stands at the stones, yeah.
Yeah, so that might happen. Evoke probably won't happen for us this year. Don't think it's in the plan.
Tirsak?
Tursock always happens.
Good, because I missed it last year.
Yeah, for me, Tursock is a staple, and so is Solskogen. So we'll see. But yeah, it's always we plan too late for these things.
Yes.
But that's how it is. Anyway. Yeah, I think that's all we got.
Yeah.
If you guys have any additional questions or whatnot, we can answer those now. I mean, unless we're actually working on stuff, no offense to Ian, but I don't think we're the most exciting people when we just... I'm totally kidding. Neon Eye, what is impossible? Faster than
Nothing.
speed of light travel, probably. That's all I got. I don't know much about the world. Molliv, what's in Hoffman's room?
Well, that it's a Technics 1210 turntable and a mixer
Choice.
and
Clutch.
oh, nice.
What's this? What is happening here?
Oh.
I think it was Sensenstahl who made these, and
Yes.
again, thanks to him for these because these are awesome. A lot of
Yeah.
groups got them, and I'm happy to be one of them that did.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, if you do have young children, do not put these kind of things high up on the shelf. I mean, this one's
Ooh.
very pointy.
Yeah, these are chunky.
Yeah, I mean, that rock could definitely kill a small child if thrown hard enough.
Luckily, the only small child in my life is me, and I'm not that small anymore, as everyone keeps mentioning at parties. Hashtag bitter. Anyway, you're salty. That's what I wanted.
Cool. Right, so I'll get some GitHub stuff up soon. I promise thee. And we'll share these slides so you can go and check out YouTube bits and pieces.
Radness.
Cool.
Yeah, again, thank you, Ian, for coming on and hanging out. This is awesome. If other folks want to do this with me, I'm totally open to that. Especially after releases like this, because I think it's really cool to just like brain dump context and kind of how it went. So just, yeah, another little ping there. Anyway, yeah, I think we're good.
Nice.
So yeah,
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks guys for hanging out, and we will see you next time.